Hello and welcome. I'm Gwen Pickering, and I am so excited that you're here to join me for this Advent series on being the gift. You are a gift. Sometimes we forget who we are. It's so easy to forget, but the truth of the matter is you are a bright and shining light. You are a gift. You're made in the image and likeness of God. You are a creator, and you're amazing. And now, if when I was saying that you thought to yourself, I'm not so sure that's true, then you're probably a lot like me. You know, I really totally believe that we're born. We're born to be this bright and shining light. I have this little light in here. I don't know if you can tell that it's actually lit, you know, one of those little fake things. So that's how it is. That's who we are, this beautiful, bright, shining light. And then when we grow, as we grow, then things happen that kind of dim that light. Like for me, my mom and my dad both called me names and yelled at me and said I was stupid. And then, oh, this was an awful thing. I was in second grade, and given the fact that I had ADHD and couldn't sit still for anything, and I had dyslexia, I actually had to repeat second grade, and it was so painful and so humiliating. And the kids would say, "Gwen flunked second grade. Gwen flunked second grade." It was heartbreaking. And then my best friend, she lied about me, and she told all of our friends things that weren't true. And then I didn't have any friends anymore. Well, thank heavens that changed, but for a while that was really traumatic for me. And then this big heart here, these are all heart-shaped rocks. This one I used for my husband, who during the beginning of our marriage totally thought that every problem that we had was my fault. And so then what happens is things happen, and our light becomes dim, and we can't shine anymore the way that we used to. And I've been on a journey of forgiveness for a long time, but one of the things that helped me, that really switched for me, is this book, A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. I remember somewhere in the early middle 90s, I was celebrating my anniversary with my husband at this hotel in Red Wing, and we were having such a delightful time. And then I went downstairs to this little gift shop and bookstore, and this book, it just seemed to be calling me. And it has been such a powerful, powerful book and in my life. And basically, the thing that came out of it the most for me was the understanding of forgiveness. That was totally different than what I thought of it before. It's kind of like this. Oh, there's my rain stick. It's kind of like this. If you just squeeze your hands together really hard and think of somebody who has hurt you, wronged you, and think about all of the things that they did that caused that pain. And then just ever so gently let your hands open up. Now, see, this book for me, it taught me forgiveness in a totally different way. I always thought, yeah, you should forgive, it's important. But I didn't realize the impact not forgiving had on me. I realized in doing that this is how this anger, this unforgiveness that I have in me, it keeps me in pain. I mean, we store that pain in our body, and it keeps me in pain and unhappiness in my heart. It keeps me from being able to love and to give openly to other people. It's huge. It's huge being able to forgive. And so then I really learned about that forgiveness really is a gift that we give ourselves. It's us that hurts when we don't forgive. When you were squeezing your hands, the person that you struggle with, they didn't hurt, right? But you did. And that's how it is with forgiveness. It hurts us. And so it's so important to actually realize what's happening to you when you don't forgive. That it actually makes your body sick. I have a friend whose wife got cancer. She grew up, she had awful, awful things happen to her. And then she got cancer, and she really worked hard on forgiveness. And her cancer went away almost 100%. And then she just started to really think about those things again, and that bitterness turned inside, which it always does. And then she got her cancer back, and she was dying. And then she finally said, you know what, I'm ready to forgive now. I mean, she knew why she had that sickness, but sadly it was too late. She died the very next day. But that's the power. That's the power of unforgiveness. And so I really encourage you to choose forgiveness. It's so important in order for you to be the gift and the light that you are, to be the gift this Christmas. You can be a much bigger gift just by choosing to forgive. So here's kind of a 3-step process. The first one is a word that I've used over and over as I was talking so far, and that is to choose, to really make that choice. Now, no matter where you are so far, if you have a lot of resentments and regrets and anger, you know what? I honor you for still being on this video, because you could have easily shut it off, and I'm sure some people did because they don't want to forgive, and they don't want to think that they even could. Or, I just remember I used to really feel like the people that I was upset with and angry at, like, they deserved it. And I'm just so glad that you are at least in a place where you're open to thinking that, you know what, maybe they don't deserve it. So if you just make that choice, like, okay, you know what, my life is going to be about, I am going to be about forgiveness. And now, if it was really all that easy as just making a choice, then we would have all forgiven everybody already, right? But the truth of the matter is, it's really not that easy. And honestly, it's so important that we have faith, and we have faith in a God who can help us and who says, ask and it shall be given to you. And so the second step is simply to ask. Ask God, dear God, please help me to forgive. Please help me to have forgiveness in my heart. And God will be there with you. And you know what? Maybe you feel like, well, you know what? I actually can't. I'm not really ready to ask. I'm not really ready to really totally choose, and that's okay. Something happened that's really hard, and you don't have to decide right this second, yes, I'm going to forgive. No. But if you're in that spot, then I would invite you to ask God to help you to be ready to ask for forgiveness, to be ready to open your heart up to the possibility of choosing forgiveness. So first you choose it, and then you ask. And then the next step looks a lot like this. Instead of having your light blocked, it's about really forgiving. And so I would encourage you to maybe even choose rocks that stand for people or the things that hurt you. And maybe you can even make a little light like this so that you can see it's about your light shining. It's about you being a beautiful gift. And I just like to say, like, I forgive you. I forgive you, Mom and Dad. I forgive you for yelling at me. I forgive you for calling me names. Now, this is important. I'm not saying it was okay. Like, one reason a lot of people don't want to forgive, and that I didn't want to forgive, is because I thought, well, if I forgive, then that's like saying, what they did was okay. But it's not at all saying that. It is not saying it's okay. It's just saying I do not want to carry that around anymore. I do not want anymore to have that blocking my light. I want to be free. I want my light to shine. That's what it's saying. So I forgive you, Mom and Dad. And I forgive you, kids in 2nd grade who teased me. I forgive my friend Liz for telling all of our friends lies about me that were so painful. And for a while I was so lonely because of it. And I forgive my husband, who blamed me for all of the things that went on that weren't good in our relationship for so many years in the beginning. And then once we remove those, then we return to the bright and shining and beautiful light that we are in the first place. Forgiveness is the way to coming back to ourselves, to coming back to our true self, who we really are. And so I really encourage you. Now, obviously, it is not as easy as just I forgive you and you take it out and it's gone. It's a process. It's a process that I have been working on for years. And sometimes, I think to myself, oh, I've really forgiven that, or I've forgiven them. But then all of a sudden, there it is again. And then I realize, I used to be so frustrated with myself. I used to feel like, God, can't you get it? Can't you get over it? And I would, then just beat myself up about this thing. But it's so important to be just so gentle with yourself in this process, and to know that it's a process, and to know that it's an ongoing thing. So the people that you sit around that table with, those are the people, especially if you're with your family, who you probably need to forgive the most. That the people who love you the most, are the people who also hurt you the most. And the one person that you need to forgive more than anybody else, I should have a great big huge rock here for this person, is yourself. Because it's really hard to look and see, my gosh, I really hurt this person I love so much. And as you go through this forgiveness process, it's one thing I want to warn you against. Do not judge yourself for being unforgiving. Do not judge yourself if you feel stuck. Do not judge yourself if you've hurt someone. Of course you've hurt someone. You're human. It's all part of the process. But the beautiful thing is that now you're in the process of actually removing that, of going and being the bright and shining light that you are. That's the process. Keep your eye on that process and just thank God. Even when you're stuck, you know what? God, please help me, but I want to be in this process. I'm in this process. I'm willing to continue. I need your help. And I honor you. I honor you for being in this process, because you know what? The world needs you. Your family needs you. Your friends need you. And if you have children, you teach them all about forgiveness or holding on to something. And of course, we want our children to have open, happy, loving hearts, right? It's so important. It's so important to you. It's so important to the people around you. And so I really encourage you, make that choice. Choose forgiveness. Ask God. God is there to help you. And if you were hurt so badly that you feel like I can't even really ask, and just ask God to be willing to have a heart that is ready to forgive. And be okay with wherever you are. And then when it's time for you to really name the things that have hurt you and remove them. And the third step is just that, removing them and saying, I forgive you. I forgive you. And when you do that, you can go to that Christmas, instead of being like this, with open hands and an open heart. And you can be, and you are, the gift.